Russell Triplett, new baseball coach at the Citadel, 7:30 as we continue to hammer the baseball here on Sports Talk. And no better way to do that than to welcome in the brand-new baseball coach at South Carolina, Coach Paul Mainieri, for his first of, I don't know, maybe 500 interviews on Sports Talk over the next 10 years. Coach, great to have you. How are you?
Well, I'm so happy to be with you guys and happy to be in Columbia, South Carolina. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. How's it going so far?
Been busy. Yeah, I'm not sleeping much these days. It's so much fun to be back in the grind and being busy all the time, talking to recruits, talking to your coaches. Terry Rooney and Monty Lee are scouring the country. They've been zipping back and forth from California to Cape Cod and everywhere else in between. And we talk, 20 times a day with each of them. And man, I just was visiting with a player here when the phone rang to do this interview, and it just feels natural again. I feel like I haven't even left. I didn't take 3 years off. I just stepped right in and picked up where we left off last time.
It's like riding a bicycle.
It feels that way, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm a confident coach and a confident person, but I knew coming back was going to be a little different. I'm telling you, I sit at my desk and I feel like I didn't even take 3 years off. It just feels like yesterday I was doing it all before, like I'm doing it now.
How's it going with you and meeting the players who can return, your conversations with them, building that relationship? What's been the feedback you're getting from them?
Well, it's been great. In fact, I was just sitting with Eli Jersenbeck a second ago, and this interview interrupted it, so we're going to have to pick up that discussion tomorrow that we were talking about.
I'm sorry.
But Eli's feeling great. He's had the surgery, and he's been back throwing bullpens, and he's going to be throwing against the hitter here pretty soon, and he'll be a full go for fall practice. You're talking about a potential Friday night starter in the SEC that could be a really good draft choice. So, he can be a leader for our team, and I hope that's what ends up happening. But I've been visiting with a lot of the guys, getting to know them a little bit, finding out what makes them tick a little bit, learn about their families, what their concerns are, and what their confidence is in certain things. And I'm just getting to know everybody without seeing them out there on the field. It's good to have a good base knowledge about everybody's background.
Well, in looking at your roster by my numbers, you probably know this better than anybody, but it looks to me like you've got 11 players that are not draft eligible who could return, and then you've got another 19 that are draft eligible who could return if they choose to do so. So, in talking with those players and that group, have you been able to kind of get a feel about what your roster might look like based on who is thinking about returning for 2025?
Well, it's pretty fluid right now. We're talking about towards the end of June, and obviously school is still a couple months away. So, the players who went out to the draft combine in Arizona just got back, just finished that experience. And then we're still recruiting. We need to land a couple more guys. There's a couple areas of concern for us, and we need to, stock up a little bit in those areas. I'd rather not go too deep into what those areas are at this point because, it's all speculation. I really haven't seen all these guys play. I'm depending a lot on Monty Lee's evaluation of everybody because he's the only one of our coaching staff that has seen these guys play every day. So Monty has given me a good rundown, and based on that, as we huddled up as a staff, we talked about what we think our needs are and what we should be going after here as we're finishing up summer recruiting, and then we'll see what the numbers look like. And I'd still feel very confident, like I talked at the press conference, that we're going to have a very formidable team out there on the field. Obviously, we're going to be losing some key guys like Cole Messina probably will not be back. I'm guessing that he's going to be a high enough draft to go ahead and start his pro career, and there'll be some other guys that we'll lose as well. So, it's not the same team just picking up next year where they left off this past year. We're going to have some additions. We're going to have some subtractions. Mm-hmm. But I'm feeling like there's a good enough core of guys to feel very confident that we can have a good club out there.
Conversations with Ethan Petrie, how would you describe them? Has he given you his 100% confirmation that he's going to be a Gamecock for a third season?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He was my first call when I knew I was going to be the coach. Probably called him 5 minutes after we finally decided that I was going to accept the job, and had a wonderful talk with him. And I caught him at a Tampa Bay Rays game, and he answered the call and went into the concourse where we could talk, and we've talked another time. So, yeah, he'll be going up to Cape Cod. I think he'll be getting there on the 24th. I don't even know what today is, the 20th or 21st or whatever.
It's the 20th.
20th, okay. So his hand, I think, is going to be fully healed from the unfortunate accident that he had. And he'll go up to Cape Cod and play the rest of the summer, get a lot of good at-bats in. And, yeah, he'll be a leader of our team next year without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. New USC head baseball coach Paul Mainieri with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And, Coach, do you believe that's already your best recruiting pitch to get Ethan Petrie to come back and play for you next season?
Well, in today's day and age with the transfer portal and everything, it feels like you have to recruit the players all over. But Ethan loves Gamecock baseball. He loves Columbia, South Carolina. He's got a chance to do something really special next year. I think the home run record is within reach for him. And more than anything, he wants to go to Omaha, and he hasn't had that experience yet. And you don't come to a place like South Carolina, University of South Carolina, without that goal. It's been done before. They've won championships here in the past, and the players of today, they're determined to restore the glory and get those experiences for themselves. So it's my job to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together and mold it and see if we can achieve those goals for these young men.
One thing that struck me during your press conference last week, you said one of your non-negotiables was you were going to put a very good defensive team on the field. Quite frankly, Carolina struggled in that category, especially in the SEC tournament this past season. Is that something you can recruit? Do you go out and look and recruit good defensive players, or is that teachable? Can you take the guys who are currently on your roster and just turn them into better defensive players?
Well, that's a really great question. And in order to be a good defensive player and a good offensive player at the same time, you got to be a pretty good ball player all around. And many of those guys are signing professionally. When you can find a guy both sides of the ball playing at that elite level, and that's what we're trying to find now. Obviously, we need to find some thump in our lineup. If we lose Cole Messina and Kennedy and some other guys that could hit, you got to get some guys that can score some runs. So some places you can sacrifice a little bit of defense just so that you can get some real offense in there. But there's some positions, that you just got to find somebody that can catch the ball consistently, throw it over to first base, or run them down in the outfield, or do a good job behind the plate. So, yeah, we don't really know for sure what our personnel is going to be right now because we're still recruiting some guys. But I feel confident that, if we can get some guys with the basic necessities, the good hands and the strong arm and accurate arm, that the way we work them, the way we drill them, that they can develop the consistency to be good defensive players.
Coach, as you look around the landscape of college baseball right now and you see a team like Kentucky that can do a little bit of everything, play small ball, run the bases real well, also a little pop in their lineup, or you take a team that, like Georgia, for instance, that was hitting home runs like they were going out of style this year. When you look at an SEC that's as diverse as it is with different styles of play, how do you want to craft your team? More like Kentucky, more like Georgia, or more like Paul Mainieri when you were at LSU?
Well, I guess the latter would be the correct answer there, because my goal always was to have a good defensive team and good pitching, and then offensively to be able to score enough runs to win a ball game. So, those are the three things across the board: pitching, defense, and offense. And if you're good in one of those areas, you'll have a decent season. Okay, if you're good in two of those areas, now you got a chance to compete for something pretty good in your conference. But if you can be good in all three of those areas, that's an Omaha team and a team that can compete for the national championship. So the goal is to compete for a national championship. And so I don't want to sacrifice any of that. We've got to be dominant on the mound, but in order to be dominant on the mound, you got to catch the ball behind those guys. You keep the pitch counts down when you get outs that are supposed to make outs out of balls that should be outs, and then you got to be able to score some runs as well. So I'd like to have a team that can win a 13-12 game. Say we fell behind in a game early, you need home runs to get back into the game. If you're facing a tough pitcher and it's going to be a low-scoring game, you got to have some guys who can handle the bat, and play some small ball to manufacture some runs. Sometimes the wind is blowing in. You got to be able to manufacture. So, my goal has always been to develop a team that's diverse and has a lot of versatility to be able to win any kind of a ball game on any given day.
A couple more minutes with USC baseball coach Paul Mainieri, his 1-week anniversary as the official head coach at South Carolina. Press conference was 1 week ago. So you look great for 66. I tip my cap to you. I hope I look that good when I'm 66. Actually, I'm older than that. But anyway, and I don't look that good. I'm wondering, your friends in the game, when it was announced that you were coming back, their reaction to you, I'm talking about your close friends, was it, Paul, what are you doing? Or, attaboy, go and get them?
It was almost unanimous that everybody was so excited for me and happy that I had done this. But they know me, and they know that my whole life, my goal was to be a college baseball coach, just like my father was. And I was able to accomplish that goal at a young age, and I was able to go 39 years in a row of being a college baseball coach. And then, unfortunately, I just ran into a little bit of a problem physically, and it kind of zapped my energy, and I was in pain all the time, and I couldn't do it the way that I really wanted to be able to do it, and that was frustrating for me. So I had to bow out. But in these last 3 years, the fire still burns, and I've watched a lot of games, and I sit there in a cold sweat saying I should be down there on the field affecting the outcome of this game. But I wasn't going to do it, for just anywhere. And I had a couple opportunities, but they just didn't feel right. This one felt right. And what's not to love about the situation here at USC? You got a wonderful athletic director that was one of the greatest baseball coaches of all time. You have a great relationship with him. You think about the game in the same terms. We can sit and talk baseball all day long. And even this morning, I called him and asked him about a couple of the returning players just to get his opinion on them as we're formulating a roster. You got a beautiful ballpark. You got a wonderful city. You have history, winning history and tradition. I just didn't see any reason why I should walk away from this. And look, it's going to be my last go around. I don't know how long I'm going to last. I'm going to go as long and hard as I can. But it was just a wonderful situation. All my friends realized that, and they knew I wasn't happy in retirement. And I kept talking about, wanting to get back in. So when it all came to pass, they all reached out, and I must have had, within the first 24 hours, I must have had 1,000 text messages. I didn't realize I had so many friends, but so many people. Every one of them, from number 1 through 1,000, were all very happy I was getting back in it, and very encouraging. And I really appreciated them all taking the time to reach out.
Well, they probably saw your contract terms and said, you know what, I need to reconnect with Coach here and talk to him in a little while and see how he's doing.
Hey, now, listen, okay? Ray is funny, because when he offered me the contract, and I said, Ray, have you seen the market for what SEC baseball coaches are being paid? And he said, yeah, but you're old and washed up. You shouldn't command that kind of money.
So are you saying they're getting you at a bargain? Are they getting you at a bargain?
I absolutely think that. If you look at the list, I think I'm the 8th or 9th highest paid coach in the league. So,
oh my!
But I wasn't going to squeeze Ray. I just wanted to get back out there, and he gave me what he thought he could afford, and I was happy that he did, and I'm anxious to make him feel that it was well worth it.
Absolutely. Last thing, we'll let you go. Championship series is set. Tennessee, Texas A&M. Who do you like?
Well, I like to beat both of them. I'd like to see South Carolina in that series next year, but obviously Tennessee has great talent. But I mean, I'm a big fan of Jim Schlossnagle, the coach of Texas A&M. One of my former players and assistant coaches, Nolan Kane, is their recruiting coordinator. So I got to be honest with you, I'm going to root for Texas A&M, but I think it'll be a good series.
Coach, we thank you so much for being with us. I know you're probably working 18, 20 hours a day trying to piece everything together, and we really appreciate you taking time out to be with us, and enjoy the summer as best you can. Can't wait for your first season with the Gamecocks to roll around.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm excited about it. Go Cox.
Thank you very much. Coach Paul Mainieri, first interview here on Sports Talk. We really appreciate it very much, and I tell you what, I don't see how he's not going to be a winner at South Carolina. His demeanor, his knowledge, his approach, his appeal, and the staff he's got, I don't see why this won't work.
It's funny, if you close your eyes and we put Eric Bakich on the air and Paul Mainieri on the air at the same time, they sound identical.
That means they sound like Jack Leggett. All right, We'll be back.